The Guardians couldn't hit and play defense when it mattered on Tuesday. They couldn't get outs from the bullpen when it mattered on Wednesday. The Guardians lose to Twins, and you got to ask yourself at this point, what's it going to take to turn the ship around?
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The Guardians were very Midwest nice to the Minnesota team on Wednesday because every time they took the lead, they gave it right back. They went up 3-0, gave it right back at 3-3. They went up 5-3, gave it right back. And then they said, you know what? We don't want this. You can have it. Excuse me. Oops. Or what is it? Ope. Yeah. All the Midwest cliches, and all that leads to is not being kind. It leads to Cleveland being frustrated and venting, and everything is backwards and upside down and sucky all over. Nobody feels good about that. But, we're still here for Locked On Guardians, the only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that covers your team every day, from the majors, the minors, the draft, everything in between. No matter how the Guardians show up, we show up for you because we all need our therapy session to talk about this team right now. On today's show, we will get into a deep discussion about the high school pitchers in this draft coming up on Saturday. That'll cheer Jeff up in his love of high school pitchers. We're going to talk about the bullpen. Reluctantly, we'll talk about the bullpen. And leading off the show, we're just talking about how everything is backwards and frustrating. Jeff sent me a funny clip earlier, a funny screenshot earlier of game day showing a hitter going up to the plate backwards on there. And
can't hit the ball with your butt. But, I mean, it looks like they've been trying to do that recently. Not so much. Yeah. I mean, they did enough today. But, this looks like a team that's trying to hit singles with butts, not bats. And that
they were trying to. Them. Can you say they were throwing the ball out of their butt at this point in this game?
I mean, their heads were up their butts for most of the bullpen today.
It was.
I know.
Quickly before we get into stuff, today's episode brought to you by our friends at Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter. What an ironic sponsor right now. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockdown. That's odoo.com/lockdown. Of course, Jeff Ellis hosts the show for 8 years. Justin Lada been here for 4 years. We've both been covering the Guardians minor leagues and the draft for 19 years. And the thing we hate the most that's not fun is walks and bad bullpens. We can agree on that.
The Cleveland Guardians as a team are 6th best in baseball in walks. Now, if you listen to the broadcast today, they did talk about the fact that they've gotten outside themselves and they haven't walked as much, and they're essentially they're pressing, which is anyone who watches this team for more than 2 minutes knows they're pressing. But they did have 6 walks today, and that's part of the reason they were able to get to 5 runs. Minnesota Twins tied for 18th in walk rate. There's 4 teams that are tied with them, so you could either look at them as 18th or 22nd in walk rate. It's essentially where they're tied. So they're not a good team at walking, but when your bullpen basically looks like I'm out there, then that's what you get. I mean, I understand right now it's a really hard time. You can tell from my voice, I'm frustrated. I still believe in this team. I still have people in the comments telling me that I'm disingenuous or rose-colored glasses. What I told Justin before is if you had told this fan base they'd be, 2 games out of first place in the middle of June and Jose had missed half the season at that point, you'd have taken it. And Chase DeLauder had another great day. And a year ago, you had Quan and you had who was below league average half the year. You had Jose and you had Manzardo. DeLauder is the second best hitter on this team right now. Austin Hedges had another legit great game today. He has hit the ball well. Quan has shown signs of life. When you get Jose back, that's going to be positive. I know a lot of people are big mad at Bazana for a bunch of different things. He still reached base 3 times in this game. You just kind of wish that on his one single that DeLauder could have scored. You could have gotten a little bit more out of it, but a lot of pieces showed up. It's just Slade Ciccone chose a poor time to have one of his worst performances of the year, and then the whole bullpen decided to just go out there and walk and have a walk parade. And at some point, I've been Matt Festa's biggest defender, and I know I'm ruining our roadmap because I just can't take it anymore. But it's Festa needs to hit the bricks. This isn't working. He was terrible in May. He's been terrible in June, worse in July. And then let's also talk about the fact that we know this relief group does not do well when you ask them to end one inning and start another. And they did it with Armstrong, who promptly walks 2 hitters. They do it with Gaddis, who promptly gives up 2 singles. At some point, you got to pay attention to your own data. You have to, as a manager, wake up and be I know we're in a hard spot. So you're in a hard, and Holderman did it. But if you're going to pull Ciccone after 3 1/3, you have to let Holderman try to go a little bit deeper. He had been fantastic. He only threw 8 pitches in 1 1/3 innings, 8 total pitches in that 1 1/3 innings.
Yeah,
you're yanking a guy.
More.
Am I wrong? Isn't it only 8? I think it's like
you need
8, more.
Yeah. I get maybe trying to conserve him for tomorrow, but he didn't pitch Monday, so he can pitch Tuesday and Wednesday. I think at some point for the Guardians,
Heron was great until the elbow.
Yeah, that was scary, and we're lucky. He's very lucky that it's just a contusion, and I have no idea if that means he's going the IL at this point or not. Like, it's a contusion, so who knows? He probably won't pitch tomorrow at the very least. So
no,
he's out tomorrow, and Festa's out tomorrow, which not that it matters.
I think you should just IL him because there's only 4 games left, and just to be safe, and just you're gonna have to run with one lefty. Go get Hewer, go get.
You have no lefties the way Sobrowski pitched tonight. I don't think Sobrowski's healthy. I don't think he is. Like, you can't convince me. I know he's had control issues in the past, but you can't tell me that throwing 10 straight balls is not a sign of something wrong with you.
11. It was at least 11 or 12.
11.
I think it was 11. Maybe no, it was 11 because there was 1 strike. So I'm pretty sure it was 11 straight balls. Yeah, I don't like. Yes, he's had command issues. The previous 2 outings of this were strong, but before, essentially, I think I told you this is like 9 appearances, and either he's given up a run or he's, let an inherited run score in 6 out of 9 appearances since he came back off the disabled list. And one of those 3 positive appearances was he pitched 1/3 of an inning. It wasn't a big thing, but the other 2 were both against the White Sox Sunday and then the Tuesday walk-off. So yeah, it's just.
He was one of the best relievers in baseball before his injury.
He was the best lefty in baseball. He was 100% the best lefty in baseball before that injury. Yeah,
and right now you don't have any lefties because who knows with Heron and Sobrowski is just very unreliable. It's just very unfortunate. I think it's so like there's nothing worse than losing because of your bullpen, and they didn't lose just because of the bullpen. They also lost because Slade Ciccone couldn't get through it at that point.
Execute.
Like that and. We can talk about this in a little bit, but there's something to be said. Maybe I don't know how many pitches he threw in the 4th inning. It was getting ugly, but like for the sake of the bullpen, you might have needed him to wear it for the 4th inning and try to finish that out. There were 2 outs when you pulled him, so he only had 67 pitches. It was just he wasn't throwing strikes either, and nobody could find the strike zone tonight except for Holderman and Smith, and even Smith had a walk. Holderman was fine, but
I think Heron found it for his 2/3. In fairness to him, right?
He threw 6 pitches, 3 strikes, so it was 50-50. It was only 6 pitches, but he got 2 outs on 6 pitches. That was great. So hopefully he's okay, short and long term. But it's just frustrating because like the offense did enough tonight, and I don't know if there's a way to find. I guess it's shut down innings is probably what you could find, but I don't know the reverse of it. But it's like every time this team scores runs, they give them right back. And, you scored 3 in the 4th, and then you gave it right back. You scored 2 in the 7th, you gave it right back. Like, it's not a good feeling when you go out, your offense goes out there, especially when you're missing key contributors and you're struggling to score runs and you finally get some, and then your bullpen, your pitching just blows it all up. Like that's the most frustrating thing. Tuesday, it was the defense and offense. They played poor defense. They couldn't execute. And in this game, they did execute. I mean, that 7th inning was great, wasn't it? You had the walk by Watson, the steal, the walk by Kwan.
Yeah.
DeLauder drives in Watson, and then Rocchio lays down a perfect bunt that was supposed to be a safety squeeze. He ends up getting a hit, and that gives you 5-3. And at that point, I'm like, all right.
But then Hoskins does what he does when you got a runner in scoring position. I know he had a home run today, but at the same time, every time there's a runner in scoring position and Hoskins is up, he can't make contact.
No, he's
got one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball, and that makes him a liability in the middle of the lineup. He should be hitting like 8th or 9th, hitting when there's not guys on, because he can't make contact when you have guys on. Then Bazzana gets the infield single, and then Schneemann
be a leadoff hitter, right?
Yeah, and then Schneemann sitting there in a 2-1 count and watches strike 2 and strike 3.
There was a lot of passivity.
So much passivity. I know they're trying to walk, and that is part of it, but like. You also have to
called strike 3. Did Bazzana take a called strike 3? I know Arias did. Schneemann did. Manzardo did. Watson did. They all, like you said, they walked 6 times themselves, but they also struck out 13 times. The Guardians had more walks and strikeouts from their pitching staff. So, for as much as they walked, the Twins pitching staff was better at getting. And again, that's what I said yesterday. This is the downside. I'm not saying I want to go back to the Tyler Freemans and the the whatevers that they've had the last couple of years, where it's Miles Straw and Andres Jimenez. But this is the flip side of again trying guys who are going to strike out more. The Schneemans, the Manzardos, the Watsons, the Hoskins. Like, this is what happens when you go to guys like.
But again, it wasn't them. The bullpen has to not be completely worthless. Like, very bottom line,
the offense came through.
Yeah, I mean, Slade Ciccone, and as it was unraveling for Slade Ciccone, like, I had a real sit down moment with myself where I'm like, maybe this starting pitching isn't good. Maybe they just somehow pitch to the box score. I don't know how that works. I don't know if it's a thing, but it's like maybe all these games are small. When the team doesn't score, they pitch to that box score, because it feels like so many times this year. And maybe it's just because it happened Sunday and today, where it's like, hey, we battle back, and our pitching staff takes it right out of our sails. And then,
that's the worst
going
thing.
through, it's like, they faced a lefty, and the Twins are a very hot team right now. Don't get me wrong, but Cleveland had a chance to win this, and their starting pitcher was one of the worst starts of the year, and their bullpen just was atrocious. There's no way around it. The bullpen, they got to figure some things out, and they need to make some changes because they have no one for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the bullpen. We'll get into some high school draft picks, the pitchers in this year's class. That'll cheer Jeff up, so we'll have more fun with that on the rest of this episode.
Support for today's episode comes from Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps contact employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and location. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. One of the prompts here says, talk about when having the right person, player, or coach change the outcome. When it made them something easier, faster, better. How about when you have a bullpen that can not walk the population of Rhode Island? I think that would allow for some wins and make things better. Maybe when you have a bullpen that can keep some pitches in the zone or knows how to miss a bat. That could be. Let's go into Indeed to find an actual worthwhile reliever today. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is Indeed, a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
You ever search for anything online? I think we all have, and you show up on another site or another app, and there's an ad for the thing you just searched for. Or I know if you're like me and you're doing some traveling recently and you tried to watch something that you normally have available at home, and then it says content not available in your region. Those are just a couple of reasons why more people are turning to Proton VPN. Proton VPN is a secure VPN service that is designed for people who want more privacy, they want more security, and who doesn't want that these days, honestly. More control over how you experience the internet. Best way to go, if you ask me. Helps keep your online activity private, protects your data on public Wi-Fi, and it's making the internet work for you the way it should work, which is open, secure, and on your terms. And the nice thing about Proton VPN is that it's backed by strong European laws. So it has a strict, independently verified, no logs policy built by a company that is focused on protecting users, not tracking you at every which way. In baseball, we do try to look at tracking a lot of data and seeing how that leads us to make different decisions and talking about gaining an edge, controlling what you can control. And that idea really should apply online. The data shouldn't be following you. It should be giving you the right tools to make the right decisions and have a different experience for you and how you use the internet. I definitely would like to see less weird ads all over the place that aren't following me. I can tell you that right now. Easy to get started, though, because right now Proton VPN is offering our listeners of Locked On Guardians a 2-year plan. It's 70% off when you go to protonvpn.com/lockdown. That's protonvpn.com/lockdown for 70% off your 2-year plan. That's protonvpn.com/lockdown. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. if you're looking to, have a little bit of a event session with some other people, you can check out the Everyday Club, because that gets you access to the Locked On Guardians Discord, where other Guardians fans are hanging out and talking through the game, through their frustration with themselves, with Jeff and I sometimes. And then there's also a channel for every single sports team you could think of, because we have a show for everything. So if you like the Buffalo Bills or the Chicago Blackhawks, I don't know, I'm just throwing names out there, there's a podcast for it. There's a Discord for it as well. And you get ad-free versions of the show on all your audio platforms too. You can get a 7-day free trial by signing up, and listen coming soon for more announcements on the Everyday Club. Boy, Jeff, you are very frustrated by the bullpen, as I noticed during the break. It is not good. Bullpens are definitely the worst. Like, Zabrowski is going through it right now. Armstrong has just been you and I both like that signing in the offseason, and just not working. The guys that do well in the bullpen, I feel like I've said this a million times, the guys they do well with in the bullpen, it's the Aniel De Los Santoses, it's the Colin Holdermans, it's the Scott Atchisons, right? Like, those guys they find on the waiver wire are often their best relievers. It's not Boone Logan and Scott Barlow and Paul Sewald and Shawn Armstrong. So maybe we need an embargo on signing like major league experience relievers. I think that's one area where we always talk about free agency as a sucker's bet. I think veteran relievers are some of those things, at least when it comes to bigger contracts. Like, Shawn Armstrong pitched well in 2025. He earned a good contract, but just the way the Guardians are, it just has not worked out for them the last several years. So maybe they need to focus on converting starters to relievers, or loading up on Holdermans and Brogdons and whoever else. And then if you get 2 or 3 of those guys to work out, great. I mean, the fact that Holderman worked out is great.
So to give, I know I've been very frustrated, and it's clear in my voice because it's a frustrating team. Like I said earlier, I'm still a believer in that they can do things, but I understand why everyone is frustrated right now. I will say this for Shawn Armstrong: for his entire career, which is a lot of games, he is a 4.24 FIP in the first half and a 3.32 in the second half. He's always been significantly better in the second half, and I don't know why that is. That's nearly a run better in terms of his FIP, nearly a run better in terms of his ERA. He is a second half pitcher. So I know we're technically, the second half doesn't, I think for Fangraphs, even though we're past the midway point of games, I think that typically doesn't start till after the All-Star break. So, I mean, you have enough other issues where Armstrong can float around for another month and see if he can find anything. But for me, it's like, I defended Festa. How often do you? And it's just like, it was a fun story, but guess what? If you cut him, no one's claiming him. So he's going to pass through waivers anyways. And you need to, I mean,
I would expect Cody Hoyer is going to be up for Wednesday's or Thursday's game. I don't know if you're going to, it depends on what you do. Like, if you decide to call it quits with Matt Festa and you IL Tim Herron, you can call up Espino and Hoyer and get 2 fresh arms. Because here's the sad part too, is not that, he's at fault for this game, but Gavin Williams has been incredibly inconsistent lately. What are you going to get from him on Thursday? Like, that's a wild card, and it shouldn't be a wild card. Like, you need to know that Gavin Williams is going to show up on Thursday and he's going to throw 6 solid innings for you at the very, very least. Because, like, you could still use Cade Smith, you could still use Hunter Gaddis, you could still use Kyle Holderman.
Not to interrupt, but I'm going to interrupt. Do you know how many games behind the White Sox they are currently? It's still 1, because the White Sox can't win games either. So right now it's just not a fun. It's not a fun American League.
But
there's a world where tomorrow the Twins wake up in first place. Like that could happen, right?
The Twins are still back. The Twins
they could be in second, a game behind the White Sox.
No, they can't be, because the Twins will be 46 and 47 tomorrow, or 47. They'd be tied.
Yeah, they could. If Cleveland loses tomorrow, they're both 500.
Yeah, and I think right now the Twins have the edge in the season series, so maybe
if they win tomorrow, there's no way they wouldn't. I don't think we had only like 1 sweep all year, right?
I think the other Twins game in Cleveland got rained out, so I think I don't know. Yeah, hopefully Tim Herron's okay, but Yeah, I mean, Hoyer has not been great in AAA, and unfortunately, again, this is why everyone's like, "Oh, why do they keep signing all these guys?" This is why you did try out with Connor Brogdon, because these things happen. Like Walters is hurt, and Hoyer's not working out right now, and Armstrong's not working out right now. Connor Brogdon, I don't even know if he is still on this team.
Pitched.
Yeah, he cleared waivers, and then he opted to stay with Columbus, and he hasn't pitched since then. So I have no idea what's going on there. I did forget Will Dion's on the roster, so maybe Will Dion comes back on Thursday. No, you know what? He just pitched on Wednesday.
Yeah, he pitched yesterday, right?
Unlikely. Yeah, I mean, Steven Perez is not on the 40 for a reason. He's really struggled. Trevor Stephan never pitched himself back into being an option. It's going to be hard to acquire. At this point, I don't know. Do you have to recall Logan Allen for tomorrow or one of these games?
I will say, I mean, I'm sitting here with the TJ stats open, and it's like I'm just trying to find anything positive. I'm like, oh, Jake Miller's TJ stats page isn't bad. He's not an option, and he's not on the 40 man, but it's like that's to the point where we are with this pen. It's like, I mean, I think one of the things you said, and I know we got to run to our next break here. It's like I think at some point they need to just start the relief transition quicker. Eli Morgan, he was a starter for them, and there was the run, but neither you nor I thought that was going to sustain. Yorman Gomez is sitting down there in AAA, and he's not ready yet. But that's a guy I don't see a pathway to starter. So let's start that pen transition. So maybe he could help you this year if things don't get going for some of these other guys. A 5'11" righty isn't going to work as a starter, but it can work as a reliever. So let's start making. And it's the same thing like Cooper Engel, right? Stop delaying these decisions, be a little more fluid in your thought, and start trying guys in different roles earlier.
Yeah, they could be doing that with other guys down there too. I mean, you've been saying that with Rafe Schlesinger.
Schlesinger, make him. I mean, if you put Rafe Schlesinger in the pen when you drafted him, he could already potentially be an option. But again, not every. One of those things is they listen to their players, and they also don't force them into roles, which is one of the reasons why it's a place that players want to come and work. It's a cooperative experience.
It is. All right. We are going to shift away from the ugliness of this game and this series, and we are going to talk about the MLB draft. I know we've been doing draft stuff all week. We have not talked about the high school pitching class, which ironically has got some interesting names. So we'll get into those next. Running a business cannot feel like you are trying to connect a bunch of systems that never designed to work together. Maybe it's like the Guardians bullpen. You got one app for accounting, you got another inventory, you got a lefty you can't throw strikes, you got another for sales. None of them are connected and working to each other. And that is why you need Odoo, all-in-one business management software. And it brings every part of your business together in one single powerful platform. You get sales, accounting, inventory, marketing all in one place. Helps you move faster, helps you stay organized and focus on growing the business instead of managing individual pieces of your software, because the best organizations know success is not only about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal, everybody on the same page, everybody moving in lockstep, just not where the Guardians are right now. But when you're winning, that is true in sports like it is in business. The Guardians got to find something to click in this bullpen. They're not the worst bullpen in the league. They're still not a bad bullpen, but they are having some pretty bad moments right now. So a new plan needs to come into focus. And if they had maybe some better execution and game planning on those decisions, maybe they'd be in a better spot. So we'll see if they can get there with Odoo, because great organizations win because operations matter. And that is why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockdown. That's odoo.com/lockdown. We put out our live stream links on Thursday. If you didn't see that, I'm sorry, Wednesday, if you didn't see that. So hit the bell on YouTube. You'll get notified of when we go live for our live streams for the draft on Saturday and Sunday, as well as reaction videos to every game, all of our normal episodes, all that stuff. And then, please download on your audio platforms, wherever you listen. Even if you're not listening on audio, maybe you're on YouTube, download it anyway on audio, just in case you miss an episode. And that does help the show a little bit. And, we could use a review on Apple Podcasts. It's been a while out there. So All right, Jeff, let's get into your favorite group of all time, high school pitching. I want you to share the data because you and I had a very long conversation off air yesterday after the show was over about high school pitching. And I personally would say, you know what, just do not take a high school pitcher at 19. Just do, no matter what, don't do it.
Just don't take one ever. By the way, if you were to look in AAA,
I'm okay later in the draft.
No, they're not. We'll get into that in a second. If you look at which pitcher in all of AAA was the worst hard hit percentage and barrel rate, it's Tristan McKenzie. And I mentioned that because Tristan McKenzie is honestly the single greatest high school pitcher the Guardians have drafted of the last 20 years, last 25 years. I went through, and I actually forgot that I did this, in December.
Oh,
but I went through and looked at, since 1960.
Can I butt in real quick? Sorry.
Yeah.
Tristan McKenzie got released by the Padres 2 days ago.
Oh, well, that's why. Yeah. Everything still stands. He still has the highest barrel rate, hard hit rate, and is still the Guardians' best pitcher of the last 25 years. Sorry, everyone. I shifted in my chair there. And because Cleveland has spent a lot of money. They have drafted, the year they took McKenzie, they took Juan Hillman. Ethan Hankins was a player they spent a lot of money on. They spent a lot of money on guys in the 11th round. And the plain and simple truth is, the draft started in 1965. They have drafted thousands of players and literally hundreds of prep arms. And if you go through every single draft class since 1965, that would be 60 years. 60 years of draft classes. You get CC Sabathia with the highest WAR at number 1. Hall of Famer, that's fantastic. You get Dennis Eckersley next at number 2. Hall of Famer, that's excellent. I had someone today ask me, why did they get rid of Eck? And I got to tell that story. Thank you, Rick Manning. And I'll stand that is where the bad karma for prep arms comes from. They decided to keep Rick Manning and trade Eckersley. Number 3 on this list, third highest WAR ever for a prep arm, Larry Anderson with an E, not with an O. Don't get confused. My tweet had it wrong there. Who was a 7th round pick out of Washington, who they traded away for nothing and really didn't get an opportunity here. So he was a reliever. 4th is Chris Archer, who they traded away when he was about 20 years old. So they didn't even develop him in terms of WAR. 5th, Tristan McKenzie. Tristan McKenzie had 4.9. He had one good year if you don't count 2020. If you do count 2020, then he had one good year and 1 month. And that makes him like one of the best prep pitchers this organization has ever taken. Jared Wright at 6. Rudy Sanchez, who I think outside of like the guys at the top has thrown the most games of anyone on this list, who was a rubber arm reliever for a lot of years, but only worth 3.3 WAR. Pep Harris at 2.9 is 8th, and tied for 9th, Alan Embry and Aaron Laffey at 2.4. You don't take prep arms because it's not just recently their prep arms have all been busts of immense proportion. I mean, maybe Braylon Dowdy will help them, but at the same time, that same draft that they took Braylon Dowdy, they took Joe Yoki, who's having a horrendous year right now. They took Cam Sullivan, who I don't even think is thrown outside of organizational, maybe complex ball. They took I keep wanting to say Catino.
Chase Mobley. Maybe Catino Mobley would be better.
Like,
he fit in the Guardians bullpen right now, the way he throws strikes.
Chase Mobley looks like a massive bust. You go back to the other ones, and I know some of these parents listen, but it's like Jacob Zibin has good velocity.
He's been better recently.
He keeps getting hurt. Jackson.
Don't forget they took the same 2024. They also took Jacob Remley from Hawaii, another high school arm, who I don't think is pitched either.
No. And then they took Jackson Humphreys, who's also had arm issues and control. Like it would be something if you had any of these where they have spent a lot of money. Like Jacob Zibin was a 7-figure bonus in the 10th round. Jackson Humphreys, I believe, was close to $500,000. And it is the risk with Cam Sullivan was like $400,000. Basically, if you take the difference between what they did in savings with Travis Bazzana and the top overall pick, they took all of that money and gave it to Mobley. He was almost $2 million. They're throwing lots of money at these arms and getting nothing. I mean, universally nothing. They're not developing them well outside of Braylon Dowdy. They're not bringing them along well. Nothing is. It's not like any of these guys have even. I mean, Oki had a few moments last year, but most of these guys, like I said, Zibin has been better of late. But most of these guys haven't even had like a moment in the sun since they paid them lots of money. They have been straight terrible.
Yeah, right now, Espino is a win. Like the way things are looking, he has a win right now. Yeah, it sucks. It really sucks.
I mean, and this is why I don't have a prep arm on my board higher than 36. Seth Hernandez was the exception last year.
What about but you're
because
saying,
also when I did my data, like I got to go pull it up, but it's like, go look at the All-Star game. Almost every pitcher who was in the All-Star game was either an international signing or was a college player. You don't find aces. You don't find good pitching at the high school level. It's just not how this works. Like, there's Zach Wheeler off the top of my head, but most of your great arms,
Jacob Mizorowski,
DeGrom. Mizorowski was a JUCO player.
Okay.
He was not a high school player. Christopher Sanchez, international. Sandy Alcantara, international. Chase Burns. It's like college, this. Yeah. You don't. Cam Scheitler, college. Like Chris Sale, college. You don't find aces from the prep ranks. And instead, you sign guys who get hurt and don't turn into anything. I mean, I guess Dylan Cease, I think, was a prep arm. Max Meyer was not. Sonny Gray was not. I mean, this is just, you go through. Parker Messick was not.
Really?
Like, you don't find aces from high school pitchers. You find guys who get hurt. That's what you find. You spend lots of money on guys who get hurt and their development is stunted because of it. If they've gone through college, at least they've gotten a few more years of it. Like, you should never invest a top. And I should go back and redo my board. Like, it's just, the more I dive into this, the more it confirms my feelings, which is like, you should never draft a high school arm before the third round.
Dylan Cease was a high school arm.
Yeah, that's what I said. Dylan Cease is it. That's the one guy.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like him and Zach Wheeler. But like, you go through most of everyone else on the list of the All-Star game, and basically everyone is a college pitcher or an international signing. It's not worth it. You don't get upside. You just get more injury problems. And if they go to college, at least you get more tape on them. You get to see what they can do. You can often get them quicker into your system after you draft them because you make some fixes. But taking a high school arm in the first or second round is insanity. It just, there's no reason to do it because of the risk combined with the low payoff. It's the worst possible thing. It's low payoff, high risk. Why would you do anything that's low payoff and high risk?
I forgot Max Meyer
was he Minnesota?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Wow, good catch. I would have assumed high school arm because the Marlins do love high school arms. All right, well, should we even talk about the high school arms in this class? There are some that are interesting, but I'm.
Like I said, Seth Hernandez was the exception. Like, I would have actually considered him a year ago if he got to Cleveland. Like, there are those rare guys where I'm like, okay. Yeah. But at the same time, it was always Cade Anderson above him. Like, that was never. And I mean, if they take one at 19, I'm going to be disappointed. I got to be honest. I'm going to be really disappointed if they take a guy at 19.
I think the exception there is Jared Gridlinger. I do like him as a pitcher, but like, you have the option of having him as a two-way player or a hitter. So like, if they go Gridlinger at 19,
I think he's an outfielder. So I mean, either way, I think like you have both avenues there. If one doesn't work, you can go to the other. I don't know. I'm just worried that he's not a premium position player, and I don't know if he's going to develop power. But he's the only guy that like makes any sense at 19 that you could consider a pitcher, even a little bit. Like, I was bigger on Carson Bolemon early, but I am scared off now after what I read today. Coleman Borthwick, like, he gives me Ethan Hankins vibes. I like the stuff. Logan Schmidt, the two-pitch guy, is my concern there.
Yeah, he reminds me of Jacob Duden too, the guy from NC State. That's what I think he looks like. So it's like, go to college. Like, I like Caden Wechter, which is Doug Wechter's son. He's got good stuff, but I'm not taking him at 19. And I'm like, if he's there in the third round, like, maybe. But I'm with you. It's tough. Cooper Harris from Texas is fun. Who was the other high school pitcher you told me about there from Texas the other day?
So I kind of liked, I liked Ethan Washman, the kid from Colorado who had all the good data. The other I'm sorry, he's a California kid, was Herc Shorn, who I had kind of high on my list. Keaton McCarthy is an interesting reclassifier who's super tiny. Sean Duncan, the left-handed Canadian, is kind of
fun, but he just had
Tommy John. I mean, my problem, it's like,
Trey Rangel.
Rangel, yeah, he's 19. He's 6'1", good secondary. Like, a lot of things Cleveland likes. There's some Braylon Doughty in that profile, and maybe Doughty's going to be the exception to this rule. We'll have to wait and see.
There's always somebody, but not enough, not often enough.
You just like I said, if you sat there and you told me like, okay, half the All-Star game was from the prep ranks, then I'd be like, okay, fine, but it's like it's 20% for significantly higher risk. It's just I
mean, they don't necessarily need to turn into all-stars. They need to have them be good players. But I mean, I'm not just talking about 19 here. Like, I would not take a prep arm at 19. Even Gridlinger as a pitcher is still scary enough at 19. But like, where Doughty, they have taken a lot of high school arms where Doughty was picked, right? Like, you've got Hellman and
Tillman was round 2.
Round 2. McKenzie was a second pick. He was a comp.
He was
pick.
a comp. Yeah.
God, they had other high school arms in that same range too. I mean, up until Parker Messick, remember you said that second round was a curse. So
it is. I mean, it's Albert Bell is probably one of their greatest draft picks ever in terms of value, and he was a second round. But it's like outside of Kipnis and Bell, it's been pretty ugly.
Parker, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, even
just to confirm, I was half worried that I was wrong. Mizorowski was Crowder College, which is funny because that's also where the Brewers got Ashby. So nice little location for them with those two arms. And I think both in the second round. I could be wrong.
Can you run over there? Can you run over there to see if there's any arms this year?
It's in Missouri, Crowder College in Missouri. You know.
Oh, why did I think that was Milwaukee? I thought that was Wisconsin.
No, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would not take a prep arm at 19. Like I honestly, I wouldn't even consider it until the third or fourth round. Like that's just where I'm at.
Yeah, that's where I am. And you're right. You can find maybe some depth guys, but like it's just crazy how.
Well, do what the Brewers do. The Brewers have been really there's a couple pitching prospects in the Brewers system. They overpay guys like
Bishop Latetson is probably their best one right now. I'm trying to think who else, but yeah, they kind of go underslot early, and then they do the thing that I wish Cleveland did, which they don't, which is they just take some pot shots in rounds 11 through 20. They take like 4 guys that are hard to sign with the hope they'll get 2 of them, and they just start throwing offers.
Who I really liked 2 years ago. Yeah, he's doing very well for them in the minors right now. I think he's hurt now, but
can I say this? He was doing well. Since we're talking draft and we're already off the rails, my words have been really misinterpreted this week, so I just want to address something. I am not saying that Landon Tomey is a 1-1 candidate. Go look at my big board again, MLBdraft.blogspot.com. I've landed Tomey 31. What I'm saying is, I have talked to White Sox people, and the White Sox are all in on Tomey, but they're hoping they can get him in the second round, or potentially, because we talked about yesterday, trading for the 34th overall pick. They have things in play if they can get him. And this is the thing, again, I want to clarify some things about the draft because people don't seem to get this. One, before Rock Chalosky is drafted, a deal is done. They know how much they have. Almost every single player, a deal is done. They may not have agents, they have advisors, but I talk with those advisors. And, they'll give you...
They can have agents now.
And, advisors teams have to operate under these thin margins. Go back and listen to yesterday's show, I believe, where we talked about, like, how much extra you get with, 5% over and this stuff. And Cleveland spends every dime every year. So you have to know exactly how much you're going to spend. That's why when the, rumored Alex Mooney flop happened, and he requested more, it cost them 2 pitchers. Like, if you believe that rumor. Or like when Ross Kivett, another guy who decided he wanted to go back to school, ended up costing them their 11th round pick. It's the only time they haven't signed an 11th round pick. So these teams know before a player is drafted, a deal is basically in place 95% of the time. Occasionally players will change. Sometimes, a player will tell an organization no, and organizations will still draft them. It is exceedingly rare. I would say less than 5 a draft that occurs with. So when I'm saying a deal is in place, I'm saying they already know what's hashed out. Now, if another team comes over the top, that deal may not get done. Like if
all bets are off,
if for instance, if I was a draft eligible prospect and I have a deal with the Guardians to go 51 or 59, and they're offering me 1.5, and I'm like, okay, and teams are calling me, I'm like, no, I got a deal for 1.5. No, I'm sorry, I got a deal for 1.5. And then the team right before the Guardian says, we'll give you 2. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Like, that's the type of thing it is. It's not necessarily that these are signed, but one, everyone and their mother knows the White Sox love Landon Tomey. They love Jack Slighthorn. They'll try to get him. They try to get every prep player from Illinois. They've put a fence around that state, and it's actually paid off. Worklaw, and other guys like they go Jaden Fasky a year ago. They have put, and it's a rising state for baseball talent. So people really misinterpret my statements. I'm not saying anyone is going 1-1 outside of Chalosky, Lackey, or Emerson. The big 3 are the big 3. Yeah. But I'm just saying everyone and their mother knows that, Jim Tomey works for the White Sox, that they would like, I think, Landon to go to the White Sox. And if he is there in the second round, they are taking him 100%. And if they can get a pick before that to guarantee they can get him, then they will do that.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah, we'll have more on draft stuff tomorrow, and of course we'll be live all day Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to
do a mock Friday night on video. Maybe I'll do live. Let me know if you want me to do a live mock here, where I'll go through and handle all the picks. It'll be an extra long episode. I will then cut it, slice it, and throw it into for listening for those of you as well. So don't worry about that. You get to hear it either way.
Good stuff. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do more draft talk. We'll try to. Tomorrow will be a better day. Let's just say that tomorrow will be a better day. I'm just going to put that in.
It's my wife's birthday, so I'm not going to watch the game tomorrow. Like I'm taking the day off to spend time with my wife. So I'm sorry. I know people get mad when I admit I'm not going to watch a game, but some things are more important. So I'm going to have a nice day of cleansing. So I hope you all enjoyed the anger today.
Yep. There you go. Cleanse and wake up and get some sunshine.
Since I can't celebrate my own birthday, I'm going to just go and spend time with my wife. You'll all be celebrating my birthday with me. We'll put it that way.
There you go. All right. We all love that. All right. Well, back at it again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.
We will. Thank you all for joining us. Rate and review. Tell us what was the most ridiculous thing I said today, or the thing that I said that annoyed you the most, because that's what everyone's been telling me of late in the comments. And go Guardians, go.
Yeah, who